Discover how this inspiring daughter surprised her mechanic dad by fixing his truck for free. Jenna stared at her father's old truck, its faded red paint a dull reminder of what it used to be. She felt the walls closing in around her, each rust spot a chain binding her to the life she craved to escape. She could hear her father Bill's laughter ringing through the garage as he taught her how to change a flat tire when she was just 10, and the weight of those memories lingered heavy. But sensing the financial struggles that gnawed at his shoulders every day only fueled her ambition. She knew she could fix the truck. She had to prove it, if not for herself, then for him. With each part she researched and every instructional video she watched late into the night, Jenna wrestled with a fierce internal conflict. Could she set a new course for herself in engineering while risking the fragile peace with her father? Doubt crept in, nipping at her heels like a hound on a hunt. Her father's love felt unconditional, yet his expectations loomed large, like the very garage that housed both their dreams and disappointments. What if revealing her plans only tore them farther apart? She turned her thoughts back to the truck. Standing outside the garage one blistering summer evening, the sun casting a deep orange hue over the fields, she felt a swell of determination mixed with trepidation. Every bolt she gathered tightened both the truck and her resolve. But was she ready to confront her father? The memories of him working tirelessly in the shop clawed at her heart. She wrestled with the fear of losing his approval. She had seen the hurt in his eyes before, when dreams were mentioned. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That rainy evening, thunder rolling in the distance, Jenna tightened the last bolt on her father's truck, her heart clamoring violently against the constraints of its cage. She could hear the patter of rain hitting the roof, masking her fear, or perhaps amplifying it. On the cusp of triumph, doubt surged within her. Would he even understand her intent? The door creaked open, and Bill stepped inside, his gaze locking on her hands stained with grease. Shock morphed into something harder. "What are you doing?" he demanded, voice strained. That moment morphed into a battleground of emotions. The confrontation unleashed both their fears, the fear of losing touch, of unfulfilled dreams, and the apprehension that lay heavy in the air. "This isn't what I want for you." His voice trembled as if he were faced with a ghost. Each word stabbed Jenna with the realization of all that was left unsaid between them. Caught within their raw emotions, Jenna had never felt so torn. Her dreams and her love for him collided violently, each struggling for supremacy in her heart. As the storm raged outside, she felt the shards of their shared history breaking apart. This was only the beginning. Would they be able to navigate the wreckage of expectations? As silence fell heavily between them, she clung to her hope that they might find a way back to each other amid the chaos of their aspirations and fears. Jenna stood frozen, her heart a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Bill's eyes, wide with disbelief, scanned her face for any trace of the daughter he thought he knew. She could almost hear his thoughts spiraling. Was she merely a reflection of his life, or had she truly forged her own path? The silence stretched, thick and electric, as though the storm outside had seeped into the very air they breathed. "Dad, please," she finally managed, her voice barely a whisper, the sound felt inadequate, like a flicker of light amidst a raging tempest. The look he cast her was a mixture of confusion, fear, and a flicker of recognition. Memories flashed in her mind, working together the laughter and the patient moments spent sharing dreams. But now those dreams felt tangled, their once clear lines blurred by unspoken words and shattered expectations. "What do you want, Jenna?" he asked. frustration edged with concern. "I thought you were going to find a good job, something stable." The strain in his voice reinforced the weight of his unyielding hopes, and for a moment Jenna felt the walls pressing against her again, threatening to suffocate her ambitions. But somewhere deep within, a defiance stirred, a whisper of something stronger than the fear. She stepped closer, gripping the toolbox tightly to steady her shaking hands. "I want to work in engineering, Dad. I want to build things, create, and yes, maybe even work on cars like this one. I've been learning everything I can. I want to make something of myself, not just live in this garage." His brow furrowed, and Jenna could see the struggle reflected in his gaze. "You don't have to do this for me. I can take care of things," he replied, the plea evident in his tone. "I just want you to be safe." "I'm tired of just being safe," she shot back, the words exploding from her in a flurry of pent-up frustration. "I need to take risks. I need to know that I can do something that's mine." As she spoke, Jenna realized this wasn't just about confronting her father. It was an affirmation of her own identity. With that thought, the internal storm began to quiet, revealing a resolute clarity. She could hear her own heart, steady and fierce. Bill took a step back, his shoulders slumping slightly, a hesitant acceptance flickering across his face. "You think you can fix this truck?" he asked, voice shifting from accusation to curiosity, as if tentatively reaching for a bridge between them. "I did fix it," Jenna replied, the corners of her mouth lifting slightly. "You've just never known what I'm capable of. I didn't want to hide this from you." Slowly, Jenna witnessed the walls around her father begin to crack. His expression softened, and she sensed a deep yearning within him. "Then let's see what you've done." As they approached the truck, Jenna felt a rush of exhilaration. This moment was not just about the truck, but about tearing down barriers. She could teach him, and he could learn to see her for who she truly was. "You'll help me understand how to make it better, right?" "Of course," Bill replied, a tentative smile emerging, "but you'll need to show me what you learned first." When she looked into his eyes, Jenna saw the budding spark of hope amid the shadows of fear. They were standing at the precipice of something new, a father and daughter connected by a shared endeavor, ready to navigate uncharted territory together. Yet as they began to examine the intricacies of the engine, a new question tugged at the edges of Jenna's mind. Was she truly prepared for the challenges that awaited her beyond the garage doors? Something told her this was merely the beginning. Perhaps this newfound understanding was just a taste of the many confrontations ahead, waiting in the wings as she dared to carve her own path. The culmination of dreams and fears hung heavy in the air, hinting at a conflict larger than either had anticipated. What lay beyond this moment wasn't just about repairing an old truck. Was she ready to rebuild their relationship entirely? In this delicate dance of discovery, Jenna took a deep breath, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead. The moment arrived when both would have to fully embrace the reality of change. As Jenna leaned over the engine, a sensation of empowerment surged through her. The weight of her father's expectations began to lighten, replaced by a flickering flame of purpose. She could feel the intricacies of the machinery beneath her fingers, the cold metal offering both a challenge and an invitation. For years, she had watched him work with a prowess she both admired and resented. Today, as she explained her thought process, she was not merely playing the role of daughter, she was stepping into her identity as a technician. "See this part?" she pointed, her voice steadying as she explained how she'd researched the engine control unit online. "If we recalibrate the fuel injectors, we can—" Bill watched her, the skepticism gradually evaporating, replaced with a tinge of awe. He nodded, but she noticed the tension in his shoulders. They were still miles apart in their understanding of each other, and every word exchanged felt precariously balanced on the edge of a knife. "I've learned a lot, and I'm capable of more than you think," she added, This time it was less about the truck and more about asserting herself. She needed him to see that her ambitions were woven into her identity, not just as his daughter, but as a woman with dreams of her own. "Okay, show me," he finally relented, the challenge igniting a spark in her chest. This wasn't just about the mechanics. It was about building a bridge that had seemed impossible just moments earlier. As they engaged in the hands-on work, their shared laughter punctured the previous tension. Jenna felt a lightness in her chest, a blending of joy and disbelief. Could this really be happening? Could they actually work together? Yet the vestiges of doubt still lurked. What would happen when they stepped out of this garage, leaving the safety of unfamiliar familiarity behind? "Do you think you can find a job in engineering right away?" Bill asked as they took a break, wiping sweat from their brows. Jenna caught the subtle note of concern in his voice. "I know I can," she replied, her confidence melding with urgency. "I want to gain practical experience, learn more, use this as a stepping stone." But inside, fears grappled with her determination. Could she face the competitive world outside these walls? Tickets to trade schools were expensive and scholarships were hard to come by. The thought of failure hung like a dark cloud over her aspirations. Every doubt seemed magnified in those silent moments when neither spoke. It stirred like a pack of wolves waiting to pounce. "Jenna, you can't just leap without looking," he advised, his protective nature surfacing again. "You should consider what you might be giving up." This felt like a betrayal. "Dad, I've spent too long living in shadows. If I can take this leap—" "Maybe you can work for me instead," he interrupted, his eyes darting away in a flash of guilt. "It's stable, safe. Safe wasn't enough for me before. I want more now." Her voice, tinged with desperation, circled them. "I don't want to live for someone else's vision anymore." Yet Bill's proposal etched lines of regret across the resolute moment they had briefly shared. The turbulent feelings banished her joy, bringing Jenna back to the metal she had grown to love, a reminder of her own agency. Each misalignment she addressed felt intimate, personal. "Let's work on this one step at a time," Bill suggested, his voice softening, creating a flicker of hope. They continued laboring on the truck, but her mind spun with deeper questions. What sacrifices would she make when her independence clashed with his vision? And would she really have to fight for her own dream? In the whirlwind of gears and wires, Jenna discovered an unsettling truth, bittersweet yet undeniable. Her journey was as much about confronting her father's expectations as it was about realizing her founded aspirations. As they finally stepped back to admire their work, a truck that now sputtered with life, Jenna felt an unfamiliar resolve solidify within her. This was just the beginning of a dispute that would go beyond mechanical parts. It was about chasing aspirations while treading the delicate terrain of familial love. Would she have to dismantle the components of her past to build her future? Just then, a new thought crushed her elation. A job offer from the local engineering firm had been posted that morning. Temptation collided with her duties as daughter in unforeseen ways. Perhaps it was time to test just how far she was willing to go. Her heart raced as she considered the implications. It was more than fixing a truck. It was a chance to redefine who she truly was. The question hung heavy in the air. Would she risk it all for a shot at her dream? Jenna stood in the garage, her heart pulsing with the echo of that job posting. The wooden bench that had gathered years of grease-stained memories now felt like a battleground for her ambitions. This wasn't just about engineering. It was grappled with something deeper, a test of self-worth. She picked up a wrench, the metallic tang still present from the work they had just completed, and turned her thoughts inward as if the tools themselves held the answers. As her fingers danced over the cool metal, she wrestled with anxiety and excitement. The thought of that engineering firm loomed large, a spectre of possibility and risk. What if she threw herself into this endeavor and failed? Or worse, what if she succeeded? These unsettling potentials flitted through her mind like moths to a flame, both alluring and terrifying. "Are you okay?" Bill's voice broke through her swirling thoughts, a hint of concern crinkling his brow as he observed her from a distance. The tension had returned, a blend of worry and a father's instinct to shield his daughter. "Yeah, just thinking," she replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than genuine confidence. "Thinking about those job applications." His inquiry was gentle but probing, catching her off guard. Instead of replying, she chose to study the layers of grime accumulated on the workbench, masking layers of potential and challenge. "What if I really take the plunge?" she asked, half to herself and half to him. The idea of venturing outside of their shared bubble of familiarity filled her with both trepidation and thrill. "Jenna, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but—" "But what?" she interrupted, her voice sharper than intended. "What's the worst that could happen? I don't want to regret not trying." A dead silence hung between them, both grappling with unexamined truths. Bill shifted, clearly considering his response. "I just don't want you to lose what we've built here," he finally said, the sorrow evident as he gestured vaguely to the tools around them. This is safe. It's us." "Is it really safe?" She pushed back, her heart racing, feeling a compelling need to assert herself. "Or is it just comfort, wrapped in the expectations you've always had for me?" His eyes glimmered with something deeper, a realization that the established norms of their relationship were beginning to crack. Jenna seized the moment. "What about my expectations, Dad? What if I want more?" As he stepped back, the tension in the air thickened, each moment stretching painfully. This confrontation, though contentious, had unearthed layers of desire buried beneath their years of silence. Jenna took a breath, feeling her chest tighten as she weighed the gravity of her next words. "I want to apply for that engineering job," she declared, the weight of choice heavy. "I want to take this step, independent of you." Bill's face fell for a moment, and the words she wished he would say, "I support you," remained unsaid. "Don't you want me to?" she asked, daring to reach for the future she envisioned. "I do," he replied cautiously, the edges of his pride fraying. "But I also worry, Jen. That world out there, it's not kind to anyone, especially not to a fresh face." His words hung like an anchor. The doubts swirling in her mind felt more pronounced than ever. She longed to navigate this maze of futures without fear, but the push and pull between longing and reality knotted in her gut. Could she execute her vision against both external odds and the expectations within her? Taking another step closer, she locked eyes with him. "This is about me learning to stand on my own, and maybe it's about you letting go just a little." Each word unwrapped layers she had never addressed, pressures she had habitually ignored. The atmosphere vibrated, charged with potential yet anchored by fear. Both father and daughter were standing on the edge of a cliff, teetering between safety and each other's comfort and the wild unknown of separate futures. As she prepared to leave the garage, a new resolve formed within her. Could she truly dare to embrace an uncertain future in pursuit of her passion? Jenna's heart raced, her palms sweaty as she stepped toward the entrance. Outside, the sunlight spilled across the pavement, illuminating a path of unknown challenges ahead, the diverse life experiences that transcended the garage and deeply shaped who she would become. Turning back one last time, she faced Bill. "I'll keep you updated," she said quietly. The finality of the moment thudded in her chest. Uncertainty loomed, yet the thrill of pursuing her potential felt invigorating. With the door now half open, she ventured into the light. The world awaited, its allure beckoning her forward, filled with the promise and dread of her decision. But as she stepped across that threshold, an undeniable truth coursed through her. For the first time, this was about self-discovery, a chance to carve her identity beyond the shadow of her father. What would she find on the other side? How far was she willing to go in pursuit of her dreams? Each question twisted and knotted in her chest, echoing endlessly in the vast unknown that lay ahead. Jenna blinked against the bright sunlight, her heart thudding with a mixture of exhilaration and dread. The world outside the garage seemed vast and overwhelming, a stark contrast to the confined safety she had known. Taking a deep breath, she stepped fully into the day, the cool breeze stirring a sense of possibility within her. The clamor of the city buzzed around her, a symphony of opportunity, yet under that sound lay the murmur of her insecurities. She'd always felt like a shadow beside Bill, her father's legacy looming large over her ambitions. But now, for the first time, she was ready to forge her own path. A nearby cafe caught her eye, sunlight glinting off its glass facade like a beacon. It was time to update her resume, shaping her narrative beyond the garage. As she entered, the comforting aroma of coffee enveloped her, grounding her amidst the heady swirl of anticipation. She found a window seat, the soft clinking of cups easing her nervous energy. As she began typing, words flowed with surprising ease, painting her skills and achievements in vibrant colors. She highlighted extracurricular projects from her college days, showcasing her abilities beyond what was expected. With each keystroke, Jenna distanced herself from previous doubts, her conviction strengthening. She was no longer just Bill's daughter. She was Jenna, an aspiring engineer ready to take on the world. Yet as she polished her resume, a shadow of doubt crept in. What if her experience wasn't substantial enough? The specter of inadequacy reared its head, whispering worries about what the hiring manager might see, a fresh grad competing in a realm dominated by seasoned professionals. She could almost hear Bill's voice, cautioning her to play it safe. But she clenched her jaw, pushing against that tide. What was safe after all? After a few hours in the lively cafe, Jenna's resume finally felt complete. A sense of accomplishment replaced her inner turmoil as she reread her polished text. It was a declaration of her competence and potential, a reflection of the journey she had begun. With renewed determination, she clicked on the job posting link. The firm's website was sleek and professional, highlighting their groundbreaking projects. Jenna's heart raced. Even if this was a long shot, it was a shot worth taking. Sifting through the application instructions, she noticed a prompt encouraging applicants to share personal projects. Her mind raced back to the motorcycle she had rebuilt with Bill. It was more than just a bike. It was a testament to hours spent learning, tinkering, failing, and eventually succeeding. Jenna would share this, her own contributions to the garage that transcended mere assistance, illustrating her growth and hands-on experience. With her application nearly finished, the placeholder submit button loomed before her like a mountain she had to climb. Each heartbeat matched the rhythm of her doubts. What if she was rejected? What if she was indeed not ready? But then she thought of the conversation with Bill in the garage, the cracks in their normalcy, and an unexpected determination ignited within her. This was about more than just a job. It was about claiming her place in a world that often sidelined her desires, about owning her story. Summoning her courage, Jenna clicked the submit button. The action reverberated through her like a clap of thunder. It was a leap, a relinquishment of the familiar tether she had to her past. As she sat back, heart racing, she felt a mixture of terror and elation flood her veins. This was just the beginning, a step into her own identity, yet uncertainty lingered heavily. What awaited her was unknown, and while the fear was tangible, so was the allure of potential. The cafe bustled around her, but in this moment she couldn't focus on anything outside her thoughts. She was ready now, but would the world be ready for her? Her heart raced with excitement and anxiety as she pondered her next steps. Just then, her phone buzzed, pulling her back to reality. A message illuminated the screen. It was from an unfamiliar number. "Hey, Jenna, it's Kate from school. I heard you're looking for engineering jobs. Let's meet." Her resolve hardened and curiosity sparked. What wisdom, what new opportunities awaited her in connecting with Kate? The world beyond the cafe beckoned, and Jenna was ready to unveil more layers of herself. As she gathered her things and prepared to leave, a thrilling thought surged in her mind. The actual journey was only beginning. Each new connection might pave the path toward her dreams. Would she be able to seize this chance, or would doubt silence her once again? Jenna stepped out of the cafe, the bustling city wrapping around her like a second skin. The message from Kate lingered in her mind, a spark of possibility igniting her curiosity. Would this meeting lead her to insights that could bridge the gap between her ambitions and reality? The avenues ahead felt like uncharted territories, and her heart raced at the thought of navigating them. As she moved through the crowded streets, Jenna methodically approached the future she once feared. Each block was a mental exercise, her imagination mapping out scenarios, sharing her passion for engineering, discussing projects, exchanging ideas. The trepidation she felt earlier began to morph into an invigorating sense of adventure. She had taken a step by submitting her application. Now the next step demanded engagement. The small cafe where she'd arranged to meet Kate appeared inviting, its exposed brick warmed by golden light. Jenna entered, scanning for her friend. Kate waved from a corner table, her exuberant smile cutting through Jenna's apprehension. They embraced, and Jenna felt the familiar sense of camaraderie return, strengthening her resolve. As they settled into conversation, Kate's enthusiasm was contagious. They shared their aspirations, timelines for graduation, and aspirations within the workforce. Kate expressed issues she'd encountered in her job search, struggles Jenna could relate to deeply. It felt comforting to discuss their doubts aloud, rather than harboring them alone. "What about your personal projects?" Kate asked, sipping her coffee. "Those will stand out more than any class or internship." Jenna hesitated, the weight of her father's legacy flooding her thoughts. She had rebuilt the motorcycle with Bill, and while she felt proud, she was wary of the emotional undercurrents it carried. But Kate leaned in, her eyes reflecting genuine interest. "Tell me more about it." In that moment, Jenna discovered a hidden competency. Her ability to articulate her journey with the bike transformed her hesitation into pride. She shared everything, the late nights spent in the garage and her on-the-fly problem-solving as she learned from failures. Kate listened intently, nodding, encouraging Jenna to dive deeper. "You're more qualified than you give yourself credit for," Kate asserted. "Don't mask your achievements. That story sets you apart from the crowd." The conversation shifted Jenna's perspective. Rather than fearing her father's shadow, she began to see her experiences with him as integral to her narrative, an inheritance of grit and ingenuity. A sense of clarity washed over her, and determination unfurled within. Yet as they wrapped up their meeting, a constant nagging voice crept back into her mind. What if her perceived strength was merely a mask for insecurity? Did she truly belong in this field, or was she merely pretending? Jenna brushed aside the doubts as she walked home, her mind running wild with new ideas. She mentally composed a list of skills and projects to emphasize, grounded in her unique experiences. With Kate's encouragement still thrumming in her veins, her pulse quickened with renewed vigor. The evening wore on, and Jenna sat at her desk, poring over job descriptions. But just as she was about to email a mentor for feedback on her application, her phone pinged again. It was a message from an unknown number, the sender anonymous but the content clear. "Heard you're applying to Militech. I can help you stand out." Was this message another opportunity, or merely another distraction? Jenna's heart raced as she considered her next move. Would she take this leap into uncharted territory once more, or would she play it safe and ignore the stranger's offer? The stakes felt higher now, the pressure mounting. One question loomed large. How far was she willing to venture outside her comfort zone to secure her dreams? Jenna stared at her phone, the message from the unknown number pulsing like a beacon in the dim light of her room. It felt like an omen, the universe nudging her toward an impending decision. The words twisted in her gut, igniting both excitement and fear. She wrestled with the implications. Ignoring the offer would be the safer choice, a retreat back into familiar, comfortable routines. Yet embracing this stranger's proposition might propel her into new realms she had previously deemed unreachable. After a few moments of hesitation, she decided to respond, her heart hammering as she typed out a simple, cautious message. "How can you help?" The seconds dragged as she awaited a reply, each ding of her phone heightening the anticipation. The urge to preemptively dismiss the unknown was strong, but something deeper ignited a flicker of curiosity within her. As time crept by, Jenna's mind replayed her recent conversation with Kate. Those words touched a nerve, urging her to rethink the weight of her accomplishments. The motorcycle restoration project wasn't just a hobby. It was an epitome of her resilience, her determination to forge her own identity apart from her father's shadow. The trust Kate had placed in her ability felt like an armor, the validation she needed to break through her persistent self-doubt. When the reply finally arrived, it was concise. "Meet me tomorrow at the park near Militech. I have insights that could make your application stand out." Jenna's pulse quickened. This was it. The moment that could shift her trajectory, the pivot she craved. But nerves quaked through her as well. What if she made a fool of herself? What if this was a wild goose chase? The rest of the evening evaporated in a haze of internal deliberation. Could she transform this chance encounter into a stepping stone toward her aspirations? The thought was simultaneously exhilarating and terrifying. She needed to prepare, so Jenna shuffled through her notes and memories, collating her thoughts and insights into a coherent narrative she could convey. Determination steadied her hands as she recounted project after project, the late nights in the garage, the unexpected challenges and triumphs. Her past was black and white, only in her mind. In reality, it was a spectrum of creativity and innovation. Each story she wrote felt like a thread of steel, weaving an increasingly firm fabric of self-belief. The next morning painted a picturesque scene to complement her clarity. As Jenna walked toward the park, her senses heightened. Every crunch of gravel beneath her feet was a reminder of her journey. From a timid girl shaped by her father's legacy to a confident woman ready to define her own path. Arriving at the park, she scanned the faces, her stomach fluttering with anticipation. Suddenly she spotted a man sitting on a bench, his demeanor calm yet assertive. He had an air of confidence about him. Jenna took a deep breath as she approached, determination flooding her veins. "Are you?" she began, and the moment their eyes locked, Jenna felt something shift within her. This was a risk. This was a gamble, a push to transcend her insecurities. But one question loomed over her resolve. What if this stranger held the key to unlocking her future, or what if he merely brought more confusion into her life? As she settled on the bench, the weight of possibilities hung thick between them, a tension that felt electric. Jenna sensed the answers to her intertwined dreams, and fears would soon unfold. But could she confront whatever truth lay ahead? She had crossed the threshold. There was no turning back now. The man adjusted his posture, his eyes scanning Jenna with an evaluating gaze that felt both unnerving and reassuring. "I'm Alex," he said, his voice warm yet firm. "Jenna," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. He leaned back, a casual confidence radiating from him. "So, you've been working on motorcycles?" he prompted, inviting her to share her story. The words hung in the air, offering a lifeline. Jenna took a breath, reeling in the memories of grease and metal, the triumph of fixing the mechanical machines that had always intrigued her. "Yeah, I've restored a couple as a way to connect with my dad's legacy. It's more than just a hobby for me." Alex nodded, the corners of his mouth quirking up into an encouraging smile. "That's compelling. It shows dedication, not just to the craft, but to your personal journey." She felt her shoulders relax a fraction. Discussing motorcycles was familiar ground for her, a safe harbor amid uncertainty. "I struggle with how to present that in my application for the engineering program. Everyone else has such polished backgrounds. I tend to second-guess what I have to offer." His expression shifted, the warmth replaced by a penetrating seriousness. "That's a common obstacle, Jenna. But let me ask you, what does it mean to you to restore a bike?" His inquiry demanded more depth than she initially anticipated. Jenna hesitated, then dived in. "It's like bringing something back to life. Each motorcycle tells a story, and I get to be part of that. It feels like I'm transforming something, just like I'm trying to transform my own narrative." "Exactly." Alex tapped his fingers lightly against the bench, as if the rhythm could summon inspiration. "You're not just fixing bikes. You're reauthoring your identity, and that's your angle. Your application shouldn't just list achievements. It needs to convey who you are, your passion, your struggles, your growth." He leaned closer, eyes gleaming with intensity. The gravity of his gaze sent a shiver along her spine. "You need to own your story. The experience isn't just about past accomplishments. It's about how those challenges molded you into the person you are today and who you aspire to be in the future." Jenna's mind raced, grappling with the revelation. "You really think that could make a difference?" "I know it will," he assured her, "but it requires vulnerability. Are you ready to share the messy parts, the things that don't fit in a neat box of achievements?" She flinched at the thought. Revealing her insecurities felt like stripping herself bare. Yet, deep down, she knew those very insecurities fueled her determination. The sense of untamed power gathered in her core. She nodded slowly at first, then with increasing fervor. "Yes, I can do that." The resolve within her solidified, filling the cracks of her self-doubt with fierce determination. "Good." Alex smiled, satisfied. "Let's work on shaping that narrative. Start by capturing the essence of your journey. What does your motorcycle restoration process reveal about your character, your resilience?" Jenna inhaled deeply, her mind whirring as images of grease-streaked hands and late nights transformed her thoughts into vibrant visuals. Each restoration had taught her something profound, lessons that transcended bolts and engines, lessons about herself, her strength, and her steadfastness. As they began outlining her story, Jenna started to feel the emergence of a voice she had buried under self-doubt. Each word that flowed reaffirmed her journey anew, revealing an emerging sense of pride. But beneath the excitement lay an undercurrent of anxiety. What if opening up made her vulnerable, not only to judgment, but also to herself? As the discussion deepened, Jenna felt both excitement and apprehension intertwining. She questioned not just how she would express her story, but how much it would reveal about her. Would it be enough? The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the park. The urgency pressed against her. This was the moment to confront her fears, to break free from the shadows of her past. Yet the nagging worry lingered. Was she truly prepared for the repercussions of unveiling her authenticity? The laughter of children nearby contrasted sharply with her turmoil. Soon she would need to seize her narrative and step into the light. But at what cost? "I guess we should dive in," Jenna said finally, attempting to mask her inner turmoil with resolve. "Absolutely," Alex replied, a spark in his eyes. "But remember, Jenna, the path to empowerment is often paved with discomfort." With his words echoing in her mind, Jenna felt her heart race, adrenaline surging. The way forward was uncertain, but her drive to evolve, fueled by faith in herself, could lead to something extraordinary. As they launched into brainstorming, The thrill of discovery tugged at her, beckoning her to embrace this new chapter in her life wholeheartedly. And yet, at the back of her mind, one lingering question persisted. What vulnerability would she ultimately face when she laid her truth bare? Jenna took a moment to register the weight of Alex's challenge. As they delved into the narrative of her motorcycle restoration, she felt an unfamiliar potency brewing within her. Each anecdote she shared unfolded like intricate gears in a well-oiled machine, revealing not only her skill, but also the person she had become through this craft. "This is where it all started," she said, her fingers tracing an imaginary outline of the first motorcycle she'd restored. "It was my dad's old bike, abandoned in the garage for years. Bringing it back to life felt like reclaiming a part of him." The memory brought bittersweet feelings. It wasn't just about the bike, it was about their relationship, her father's teachings woven through the process of restoration. Alex nodded, encouraging her flow with a slight smile. "Reclaiming a part of him, that's powerful, Jenna. It's about healing as much as it is about fixing machinery. It's bold, what you've done. Can you explain how that process taught you to face challenges?" Jenna hesitated, reflecting. "Sometimes I'd get stuck. I didn't know how to fix a certain issue, or I'd miscalculate a part I needed. There were times I wanted to quit, but I remembered my dad, how he never gave up on something he loved. He taught me to tackle each problem with patience." She smiled wistfully. "That patience has transformed me. It made me realize that failure is just a step toward understanding." "Exactly," Alex responded, looking impressed. "You've intuitively grasped a fundamental aspect of growth, the value of resilience. Your story could break through the standard achievement narrative in your application. Have you considered how other experiences shaped you outside of the bikes?" Her heart raced at the thought. The conversation was pushing her into uncharted waters. "Outside of bikes," Jenna repeated, her voice quieter now as uncertainty crept back in. "Yes, life provides ample challenges. How you respond to those could be equally telling. What about school, friendships, your family life, beyond the bikes?" Unraveling those threads felt daunting, yet something stirred within Jenna. She recalled the difficulties of balancing schoolwork with her passion for mechanics. "I wasn't always the best student. I hated math and sciences until I realized how they applied to motorcycles. It clicked, and suddenly I was acing tests, not because I was naturally gifted, but because I found a reason to care." "That's a breakthrough," he urged, his eyes gleaming. "You turned a perceived weakness into a strength. That could resonate with others. Remind them that passion can ignite knowledge. There's a narrative of transformation here, don't shy away from it." But as Jenna stared into the distance, doubt swelled within her. What if her struggles alienated rather than connected her? What if they saw her as less than polished, just another student grappling with insecurities? "Opening up feels risky," she voiced carefully. What if people don't take me seriously if they see the messiness?" "Then they're missing the point," Alex countered sharply, yet gently. "Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength. It signifies courage to reveal who you are truly. When you share your story, others can find pieces of themselves reflected in it. You're inspiring them with your journey." Her pulse quickened. The thought of inspiring someone else felt foreign, yet exhilarating. Slowly, the prospect of sharing her deeper truths ignited a flicker of determination. She could own her narrative, messy as it may be. "I think I can do that," she said, her voice steadier. "Good. And remember, share the specific moments, those aha experiences you mentioned about your father. Illustrate your journey vividly. Don't just tell them, show them. Make them feel your tenacity." Alex's encouragement acted as fuel, pushing Jenna to look beyond her apprehension toward the broader impact of her revelations. "Okay," she breathed, excitement mixing with resolve. "The heart of the journey. But as they fine-tuned her story, another voice, quieter yet persistent, emerged in her mind, a reflection of the past's lingering doubts, reminding her of the fragility of her ambitions. It was one thing to articulate the challenges, it was another to be accepted for them. Jenna felt a tightening in her chest as she realized what lay ahead. Uncovering this truth wasn't just about gaining acceptance into a program. It was a confrontation with her past self, a new threshold she needed to cross. Alex captured the shift in her energy. "Something is brewing. What are you feeling?" "I'm scared," she admitted, not bothering to mask her vulnerability. "What if they see not just my resolve, but also my failures? What if they decide I'm not enough?" "Jenna, it's time to face that fear head-on," he urged softly. "Remember, the world needs stories of perseverance more than tales of success." The weight of those words hung heavily between them, and Jenna sensed the stakes growing higher. The journey towards authenticity was daunting, a true leap into the unknown. What would it reveal about her, and what would it demand of her? As the sun faded into night, Jenna knew that delving deeper into her narrative was no longer about writing a compelling application. It was about redefining herself, discovering who she truly was. But now, just as she felt ready, an unsettling question loomed. What truths about herself still remained hidden, waiting to be exposed? As Jenna stirred awake the next morning, the sun's warm rays filtered through her window, illuminating the remnants of her doubt from the night before. Her heart raced as she recalled the unease that had accompanied her journey into vulnerability. But buried beneath that apprehension lay a steely resolve, ready to rise. Today was the day she would embrace what lay before her. She finished her breakfast, the usual toast that felt like a mundane ritual suddenly tasting sweeter. Today held a promise, the chance to share her narrative, complete with its rough edges, with the world. She was not just ready to recount her story, she was prepared to own it fully, for the first time seeing the bits and pieces of her life as reflective of courage. Jenna sat at her work desk, the remnants of the motorcycle restoration visible from the window. It was a tangible reminder of her transformation. The echoes of frustration and triumph felt more vivid than ever. Each part she had painstakingly repaired mirrored her own journey, the scars now symbols of strength rather than failure. She opened her laptop, her fingers hovering over the keys as she began to draft her application once more. The familiarity of the paperwork was comforting, yet today it felt different. Today she infused life into her achievements, framing each paragraph with the richness of her experiences instead of simply listing accomplishments. As the words flowed, her voice, once muffled by doubt, now resonated with clarity. She wrote about the late nights spent troubleshooting in the garage, the thrill of turning what was once scrap metal back into something alive. It's not just about fixing what's broken, it's about finding pieces in ourselves that need reconciliation, she typed, feeling the fire of authenticity ignite. With each line, she reclaimed a part of herself, sending ripples of empowerment through her being. This wasn't just a desperate bid to stand out, it was a declaration of who she was becoming, a testament to her persistence and ingenuity. Her past wasn't just a series of challenges, it was the foundation from which her aspirations could soar. When she finally reached the conclusion of her application, Jenna paused, staring at the screen. This was more than a submission. It was an embodiment of her evolution. It was the layering of understanding and vulnerability she had been afraid to expose. Despite the extraordinary weight of self-reflection, she felt light. With trembling hands, Jenna hit the submit button, and the rush of exhilaration that followed was almost intoxicating. She could hardly believe it. She had conquered a significant fear, the fear of inadequacy and exposure that had once paralyzed her. This moment marked the culmination of her journey toward self-empowerment. She was not merely seeking a job, but carving out her destiny. As if the universe recognized her shift in energy, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Alex, and it carried an optimistic tone. "Hey, Jenna, checked in on that application of yours. I have no doubt it'll resonate with them. You have a real gift in your storytelling. Let me know how it goes." Jenna smiled, warmth filling her chest. It was validation from a connection she had nurtured, a confirmation of her progress and newfound confidence. She felt a solid sense of recognition welling inside her, further intertwining with her aspirations. The next weeks unfolded like chapters in a book, each day resonating with freshness. While she awaited any response from the engineering firm, Jenna poured energy into networking. She reached out to industry contacts, attended workshops, and even participated in engineering forums. Each interaction fortified her self-esteem. She was no longer a shadow in her father's garage, but actively evolving into an engineer in her own right. The day she received an email invitation for an interview resulted in euphoria mixed with apprehension, but more importantly, the feelings of inadequacy had been replaced by a burgeoning self-assurance. The interview prep became an opportunity to bask in all she had accomplished. She glued reminders around her workspace, quotes from Alex, from her father, and even from discussions with Kate, each serving as a testament to her resilience and strength. On the interview day, as she donned her best attire, Jenna caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The reflection that looked back was not just Bill's daughter, but Jenna, the woman ready to write her own narrative. She had persevered in her pursuit of passion against all odds. During the interview, she spoke of her journey with confidence, sharing not only her technical skills, but the heart behind them. As she revealed her story, the frustrations, the breakthroughs, the restoration of both the motorcycle and her identity, she could see the interviewers respond with interest. This was not just about metrics but emotions, the very tenacity that fueled her. When the interview wrapped up, Jenna felt a euphoric mix of accomplishment. Knowing she had conquered fears extended far beyond mere application. She had embraced her narrative, which was not perfect, but layered with complexity and fervor, a true reflection of her journey. Weeks later, when an offer letter arrived, Jenna felt an overwhelming wave of satisfaction. It was more than a job. It was the recognition of her growth, a celebration of her resilience. The full circle of her transformation displayed in that envelope at the dining table, the young girl who swore she would never hide in the garage again. As she threw her arms around her father upon sharing the news, she felt the strength of their repaired connection. Bill's pride illuminated his face. He wasn't just seeing the role his daughter had secured, but the fierce ambition she had carved out of their shared past. Jenna had achieved so much more than professional recognition. She had dismantled the chains of expectation and rebuilt a genuine relationship with her father. Her voice resonated with steady conviction, and her confidence welcomed a future defined by her pursuit of engineering. This was her moment of liberation, an authentic transformation that reaffirmed her identity against life's inevitable uncertainties. Jenna emerged not merely as a graduate, but as an unapologetic pioneer of her dreams, ready to embrace whatever awaited just beyond the horizon. Never doubt who you may inspire in the lives of others. The time has come for you to make a choice. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories you crave. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than you know. Comment below and share your thoughts, reactions, and theories about this incredible conclusion. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who, like Jenna, need to see the powerful journey of self-discovery and triumph in their own lives. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.